Hi YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year. So I've taken a bit of a break from all the videos I was making last month, because that was a lot of videos. I needed a break, but I'm kind of back now, and as I did last year, I'm not going to promise any regular schedule like I used to do. I'm just going to kind of upload videos as things occur to me. If you guys have any ideas, any questions, any topics you want me to talk about, comments below. So if you want me to do more videos more frequently, help to give me ideas. Anyway, so today I thought I would talk about something that has a medical issue that I kind of ran into in late 2016 and into 2017, and it took a while to figure out what was causing the problem, and it was kind of rather surprising to me. And I thought maybe other people might benefit from knowing that this could be a potential issue. Anyway, so back in September of 2016, I had been going and playing trivia with friends of mine for a few months at that point. They kind of, after losing my husband, they started, my friends kept dragging me out to do different activities and everything. And so every Wednesday night we go out and play trivia. And that evening I happened to just like have it, we play trivia in a pub, so we have pub food like beer and whatnot. And so I just kind of had my normal kind of snack and a beer and stuff while we played trivia. And then going home, I started to feel what felt like heartburn. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe my body didn't like the food that I had that evening. So when I got home, I took some Tums, curled up on the couch in the living room and watched some TV. And the heartburn just kind of kept going. And I'm like, huh, I think I took another round of Tums, and that didn't help any. And it started getting worse, and that wasn't good. So I'm like, okay, well, why don't I just, take some Pepto-Bismol and curl up in bed and just sleep it off? Because oftentimes if I just, fall asleep, my body will fix itself and I'll be fine the next day. Well, it kept getting worse, and I couldn't fall asleep because it kept hurting more. So I think then I switched to, I have this extra strength Maalox stuff, and so I tried that, and it kept getting worse. To the point where it started feeling like I had a, literally, I don't know if you can see this, but like right about here, so in the upper stomach right here, it felt like there was a burning piece of charcoal sitting there. I mean, that's literally what it started to feel like. I mean, okay, not literally, but that's what it felt like to me. And in my mind, that's what it felt like. There was like just this burning piece of charcoal in there. So, well, at the time, I had a different health insurance, and they had introduced this sort of virtual doctor thing where you could go online and talk to a doctor 24/7 and have them like talk you through different things, and if they felt necessary, they could recommend you go see your regular doctor, whatnot. But if it was a sniffle or a whatever, in some things that they can kind of just diagnose over it was like a webcam kind of a situation. And so I got online, got this doctor to talk to me, and I was telling him all my symptoms, and he was like, go to the ER. Whatever this is, if all of you taking Tums and everything else, if none of that's helping, this is potentially more serious, go to the ER and get checked out. Okay, fine. Which of course was freaking me out. And thankfully I have friends of mine who are also late night people, just like I am. And so I'm calling them at 1 a.m. And telling them, I need to go to the hospital. Could you drive me? And besides all of this, at this point, I also got nauseous, and I lost my dinner, so to speak, without getting too vulgar. But so I was all sorts of sick and everything, and it was not good. So they came and they drove me, and we have like 3 different ERs equidistant from where I live, so we kind of flipped a coin and just went to one of them. And they checked me in, and they were like, okay, so they gave me painkillers first to help with the pain. which was good. And then they took me for an ultrasound. So they kind of just did an ultrasound of all my organs and everything, trying to see what could be the problem. And the only thing the ultrasound showed were my gallstones. Now I have known about the gallstones for about 8 to 10 years now. And I had a gallstone attack just about 8 to 10 years ago. That's how I found out about them. And they actually ended up doing was it a CAT scan or an MRI? CAT scan, I think. I forget. CT scan? So yeah, the CAT scan. And that's how they found out about my gallstones then. But the attack I had all those years ago was very, very different. It actually felt like someone was stabbing me with a knife on my right side in the back. And this was up here in the upper stomach area. And so very, very different pain, very, very different sensation. One was a stabbing pain, one was a burning pain, and that type of thing. And so they immediately were like, oh, it's just your gallstones, just have your gallbladder removed, you'll be fine, and just kind of completely dismissed it. And in I'm a person, I'm very in tune with my own body to the point where like that didn't resonate right with me. And you know, okay, I know I shouldn't be questioning doctors. I did study in medical school and all this stuff, but they were just like instantly, oh, it's gallbladders, and just kind of dismissed it, and like here's some Percocet for painkillers, and go see your doctor and have a surgery scheduled, and that was it. So I did go see my doctor, and we talked about it, and I voiced my, like, I don't think this was my gallstones. I've had gallstone attacks before. I've figured out how to manage my gallbladder and everything. My gallstones haven't gotten any bigger since the last time we actually did some. She got the scans, the ultrasound scans, and she also had record of the CT scan from years ago, and she compared them. She's like, yeah, your gallstones are exactly the same as they were 10 years ago. They haven't changed. They haven't gotten bigger. Nothing looks gangrenous. Nothing looks bad. You know, your gallbladder's fine. So I'm like, you know, how do we eliminate that as a possibility? And so we ended up having me go on Nexium for 14 days and see if, you know, I had any recurrence of symptoms. And so I went on the Nexium, kept eating the way I normally do, and I was fine. Like, okay. Nexium, if it was the gallstones, if I was having a gallbladder attack, Nexium should not help with the pain. And so I should have had another attack, and I didn't. So I did the 14-day course. I didn't want to continue taking Nexium indefinitely, so I did the 14-day course, and then I stopped. And then I had a couple of like milder attacks like that, and I'm like, okay. Yeah, I think one time I was out and about, and I was running errands and stuff, and I hadn't eaten, and I was really starving, and so I grabbed a filet of fish and some fries from McDonald's, and I had another attack. Not enough to send me to the hospital. I had the Percocet at home, so I took the Percocet, and then it helped, so I was fine. But I'm like, okay, so the stuff I had at the pub were deep fried, and then I had some French fries and stuff, and the filet of fish is deep fried. So I'm like, maybe it's deep fried foods that are my triggers. So I'm like, okay, let's just stop eating deep fried. Okay, fine. Then I had a slightly worse attack. Still not bad enough to take me to the hospital. The Percocet still helped. But that day, all I had was salad. Literally, I had salad for lunch, and I had salad for dinner, and I had water, and that was it. That's all I had all day. I didn't have any booze. And it was just one of those days where I wasn't very hungry, but I knew I had to eat something, and I happened to have some salad in the house, so that's what I had was salad. All low cal, low carb, not low carb, but low fat, and everything. Nothing deep fried. And so there should have been nothing there to trigger me, and it did. And I ended up having to take 2 Percocet because it was bad enough that I really needed the painkillers, and then I just kind of, the painkillers like that tend to make me pass out and stuff. So I'm like, okay, well that's weird. So it's not deep fried food. So what is it that's triggering me? Then I end up, in April of this year, I went to the Denver Star Fest. I go there every year so I can see some of my favorite actors on stage and meet them and get autographs and that kind of thing. And so it's a fun time for me. So I went and because I stay from Friday to Sunday. So I arrived Friday and it was Saturday afternoon. I had some free time and I went and I tried out, they had a new restaurant at the hotel. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go try the new restaurant and have some lunch. And I had a patty melt with a side salad and a beer. And so nothing deep fried, again. It was just like the patty melt was like, it's rye bread with, toasted rye bread with a burger and cheese and some caramelized onions on it. So, you know, maybe the fat in the burger was one of my thoughts, but again, I got about 2 hours later, I had an attack, and it was like, this one was a really bad attack. The first one I had in the September before took like 4 or 5 hours to really progress to the really bad part. This time it took 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours, and the Percocet did nothing at all. And once again, I got really sick and I was in the toilet and losing my lunch and everything. And I was just, it was terrible. And to the point where I ended up finally calling the front desk and saying, I need help. I think I need to go to the hospital. And so they called emergency services and they got an ambulance and they checked me out and they were like, yeah, you're in way too much pain. Let's get you to the hospital and we'll check you out and we'll give you some painkillers. So here I am in my pajamas, because I had changed into pajamas when I got back up to my room because I was in pain and I just needed something more comfortable to wear. So here I am in my pajamas being wheeled through the lobby while, you know, like there's all these people from Starfest are there in their costumes and everything else, and they get to watch me get wheeled out of the hotel. Like, that's embarrassing. But at the time I was in so much pain I didn't care. It was like embarrassment after the fact, like, oh, I wish I hadn't had to go through that. But I was in that level, like level 10 pain. Like I just I felt like I was dying kind of pain, and I needed help. And guy in the ambulance, first of all, he had a hard time getting the IV in my arm. I think it took him 4 or 5 tries to get me an IV, like, great. And then on top of that, so then it did that, finally got it in, gave me a dose of something while we're heading to the hospital, and it didn't help the pain. So we get to the hospital and the doctors there give me another dose of something, and that didn't help the pain. So I don't know how much more time later, they gave me another dose of something, and finally, I think about half hour after that, finally the edge of the pain wore off, and finally things settled down, and I was, you know, like an hour or so later I was fine, but oh man. But you know, then I'm all loopy from all of the pain meds that they're giving me and stuff. And they also have to give me anti-nausea on top of that because the pain meds tend to make me very ill. So on top of everything else, so I have to have double doses of crap. And here I am, I'm like, okay, so the patty melt, the burger and the cheese has some fat in it, but I've had some fat stuff the week before and it didn't trigger me, and I had some salad a couple weeks before that and that did trigger me, and what the hell is going on? We pretty much determined it wasn't the gallbladder because the Nexium was helping, and I'm like, well, I can go out back on Nexium, but I don't want to be eating that indefinitely. I need to figure out what's triggering this and avoid it. So I started doing a lot of research online and looking up different things. My doctor thought it was a form of gastritis, and all sorts of things can trigger that, including fat foods and all this kind of stuff. And I came across, because I read a lot of stuff on gastritis and things, and it wasn't until I came across an article that mentioned carbonated beverages and carbonic acid in carbonated beverages that could be a trigger. Apparently, like, there's a lot of different websites with a lot of different information about gastritis and gastrointestinal digestion problems and everything else, but not all of them mention carbonation as a possible trigger. And so at this point, I've been drinking a lot of carbonated water, like the LaCroix. I did drink LaCroix, but I actually really like the Target brand carbonated water, because it's flavorful, it's refreshing, it's got the bubbles like soda, but it doesn't have any sugar in it. It just has a little bit of flavor. And so I was drinking a lot of that, like 4, 5, 6 cans a day, because I'm trying to hydrate myself, and because I just kind of hate drinking flat water. And so I'm like, oh, I found something that was really tasty and everything. And it turns out that, I did some experimentation where, because I was taking Nexium again because I just couldn't go through that ER stuff again. So I went off of Nexium for a week and tried drinking some of the carbonated water, and bam, I got it. I got pain again. Thankfully, I didn't drink a lot of the water, so I just took a Percocet and then I was fine. And I tried that on a couple of other occasions, and I also tried it with beer once too, and beer also triggered. So I'm like, okay, so it's basically anything with carbonation is going to trigger me now. And I don't know why all of a sudden I've developed a sensitivity to carbonation, but apparently carbonation can be a trigger for gastritis. Who knew? And so soda, carbonated water, carbonated, any sparkling wine, beer, all of that, I can't drink any of it anymore, or at least I'm terrified of it. Maybe I was drinking too much of it, and the carbonic acid just built up in me and everything else, but eventually I was like, okay, I'm just gonna stop drinking it entirely. And so what I did was I stopped drinking anything carbonated at all, and then I went on 2 back-to-back courses of Nexium to try and help my tummy repair itself. It was just feeling sensitive and all sorts of bad for a long time, and I was just constantly had this low-level kind of not pain but discomfort, low-level discomfort almost constantly, and so I'm like, okay, let's try and let my innards kind of like heal themselves. So I did 2 weeks of Nexium, or not 2 weeks, 28 days, so 2 courses of 14 days of Nexium. Afterwards, once I was off of that, because what it does is it turns off what produces the acid in your stomach, so you don't digest food as well because you don't have the acid, but it helps the lining of your stomach heal if you've got stomach lining problems and things. And that's basically what gastritis is. It's an inflammation of your stomach lining, and boy does that hurt, let me tell you. So I did that, and then I went on some probiotics after I got off the Nexium to help my flora and everything in my stomach kind of rebuild itself as well. And ever since, so this is like 3 months now since I stopped taking the Nexium and have given up all carbonated beverages, and I have been feeling fine. I no longer have the low-level discomfort, I no longer have the pain, I haven't had another attack, and I'm back to eating burgers and fries and pizza and everything else. Whether I should be doing that or not is, besides the point, diet-wise. But basically, none of that stuff is triggering me. And so, bottom line, it wasn't my gallbladder. My instinct was right about that. And it turned out to be this obscure sensitivity that I've developed to carbonated beverages. I don't know why, but there it is. That was it. So I'm hoping, like, if any one of you are happen to come across my video and watch this and have had this weird stomach sensitivity, do you drink a lot of carbonated beverages? And I'm not just saying soda, because like I had given up soda years ago and I was drinking carbonated water. I mean, it's literally water with bubbles in it, a little bit of flavor, and that built up enough carbonic acid in my stomach that my stomach was like, nope, don't like this, go away. And of course now I'm sensitive to beer and everything else, so it's like, great. And I happen to live in a very craft beer friendly area too, and there's a lot of really good beers in the area. I'm like, darn it. Thankfully I'm not a huge beer drinker. I do enjoy a good beer in the summertime. In the winter I'm much more of a wine person. So, but anyhow, that is my story for today. I hope someone finds this useful, and until next time, take care. Bye-bye.